Welcome to the Actor's Choice, where the actors and actresses have a chance to talk about themselves and their careers. Join us now for the next hour as we explore the marvelous industry of acting by actors and actresses from today's exciting show business world. And now, direct from Hollywood, here's your host, Ron Brewington.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ron Brewington, and welcome to the Actor's Choice. Roll it, Tony.
Welcome. Third go around. The last time we talked, it was about the rehearsal. Prior to that, it was acting approaches.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have just seen training with actors and actresses from a person who's been a veteran African-American actor. He's a theater producer and a director of both the stage and screen. He's a guest today, along with a gentleman who's a playwright, that's Larry Mohammed, and he will tell us, is he here today?
No, he's not. He won't be in until Friday.
Oh, he won't be in. Okay. All right. He wants, well, that way you can help us out. The last night at, as they call it, Cadell's.
McKell's. Last night at McKell's. Ron, do you know what McKell's was? I think a very famous and after-hours bar in Greenwich Village.
Yes.
From about 67 to about 87.
Uh-huh.
And it was the place where the artists met after they had their paying gigs, after they did music and literary asylum for so many people. Maya Angelou, Miles Davis, Jimmy Baldwin. David Baldwin was the head bartender there in real time back in the day. And on any given night, you would have the artists from all over the world. Anyone could drop in, from Eartha Kitt to Lena Horne to Lawrence Hilton Jacobs to Earl Billings. All of those folks frequented this bar. And it was a small place. It wasn't a large place, but it just had a character and a pedigree that allowed these folks to relax afterwards and just be themselves, play music. It's wonderful, wonderful. And Larry's written this play about the closing or the last night there at McKell's. And the setup is, and I won't be a spoiler and give it all away, but the setup is that James Baldwin has just returned from Europe, and he's meeting Maya Angelou to go to McKell's. And they discover that the place has to close. They meet Miles Davis there, and of course, David Baldwin, Jimmy's brother. And the evening develops and progresses into a party for the closing of the bar. And some things are discovered. Some very important things are discovered about the legacy of all of these artists.
Now, that's where you were born at, right?
That's where I was what?
Born
in New York?
You were born in New York?
No. I was born in Louisiana.
Okay.
Yeah, I was born way back there in Louisiana.
Okay. Oh, it's a great little city back there. You also had a time to work in honor of pioneering an actor and a public speaker and opera speaker, a gentleman named Paul Robeson.
Yes, well, the Roby Theater Company is the producer. I'm producing artistic director of the Roby Theater Company. Roby was Paul's athletic nickname. Incidentally, Paul's birthday is day after tomorrow, April 9th. April 9th, yes. And he's the inspiration for the theater company. His social consciousness, his artistry, and his activism, because those are really the three he was such a Renaissance man, and he did so much, you know, but mostly he was a Black man, artist, activist, and finally a humanitarian that believed in the brotherhood of man. And he fought for that his whole life. He and his wife, Eslanda Cardoza Good, fought for those things throughout their lives, through their artistry, through their activism, through his music, and simply as a citizen. So he covered a lot of ground. He covered a lot of ground, and it was inspirational to Danny Glover, who is the co-founder
Coming to that.
of the theater company, and myself, that they would we would champion that, because we were both coming from an activist and politically conscious, socially conscious place in our younger days, teens. Boy, was that a long time ago.
Your company puts out a marvelous event called Plays. You might have heard me say this before. I know Tony, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. I have this thing about some of the people when I talk to them, they come here to LA, they want to be a star. Great, no problem. But they will always end up doing little things like television or film. But they don't want to get up on that stage. What's their problem?
Well, there are those artists, actors who are trained in theater. That's where they get their roots, because that is the place in most metropolitan cities and even smaller towns. They have a theater company. And those who really feel a calling to do this kind of work, to tell stories, they have stories to tell and want to tell stories, they find a way to hone talents. If they're an actor, well, they find a workshop to work and a theater company to wean themselves on the disciplines of working on the stage. Those who want to do technical work in the background and or off site, off stage, and those who are the actors and directors and playwrights see their work manifested on stage in a larger way as part of that creative ensemble. So many of the artists, the actors, are weaned in theater. Those who are wanting to try to chisel out a career in film or television usually go to where those meccas are, whether it be Hollywood, whether it be New York, whether it be Atlanta, and begin the process of trying to find work and representation and to do this kind of work. And it's those who start to understand that it's very difficult. It's very difficult to have a consistent career. I often say that most actors get an occasional job.
Okay.
This does not a career make, but most actors get an occasional job, which could mean anything from a day job on a daytime drama to a week's worth of episodic work on a prime time television show, or with all of the opportunities that are more available than ever with Netflix and the programming that goes along with that, and HBO and all of those places. There are opportunities, but there are so many really talented artists that it's very tough. It's very tough to sustain a career where one can make a living, and especially if one has a family and all the things that go along with the family. It's very difficult. So one has to be very much a self-starter. You have to make your own opportunities for the most part. And those people who want to get back on the stage, there's not a lot of money there. There's, it's a weekly small salary. The satisfaction and fulfillment of artistic fulfillment and creativity is there. Yes. Making a living at it, is questionable. Again, most processes for a rehearsal process and the run of a show, for instance, here in Los Angeles, in the smaller houses are 3 months worth, 4 to 5 weeks worth of rehearsal, 4 to 5 weeks worth of performances, maybe a little more. And so those weekly stipends or fees for small theater are minuscule. They amount to maybe these days some gas money and a sandwich, so to speak. But this isn't why the artists do it, really. They're not doing it for those kinds of monetary rewards. Most artists are doing it for the subject matter of whatever the story is. In fact, I know that's why we do it. The stories we tell are stories that no other theater, I think, is doing in Los Angeles. And the actors get a certain kind of, well, especially actors of color, because most actors of color became actors to make statements about us and our heritage, our legacy, the stories that have not been told about us. They've been told by someone else, which has another sensibility. I'm not saying all of that was wrong, although a lot of that was wrong. A lot of that was wrong. But those who told those stories before, and I'm talking about white people, they had another sensibility. The Roby Theater Company exists so that the sensibility of artists of color can be the prism that we look through when we tell our stories, write our stories, execute our stories.
There are people out here who want to be an actor. How can they get involved in what you do at your place?
Actors, send a headshot and resume.
Okay.
To Ben Guillory at the robytheatercompany.org. Ben Guillory, Guillory is Guillory, at the Roby, Robey, theater, theatre, company, spelled out, .org. Or you can call 213-489-7402. 213-489-7402. But sending a headshot and a resume is the first step.
There are a lot of education sources out here in this town. I know I used to teach up at Santa Monica College. Everywhere you go, there's a college over here, someone teaching over here. And when I look at your stuff, you got almost 70. And we say in the business, not bad. That's not bad.
That's not we just celebrated our 30th anniversary this past November, Ron.
Congratulations. Wow.
Yeah, and we're still going.
All right.
Unusual for a small theater company to last this long. But Los Angeles has more theater than pretty much anywhere else in the country. That includes New York and Chicago and the regional theater circuits around. Only because there is so much concentrated talent here that those who are self-starters usually get together at some point and produce a play or two or three. And so that makes for a large, very large talent pool and a very large yield of work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot going on here.
Man, I got the question for you. You gonna write a book?
I don't think so. I'm not spurred to write a book. All the books have been written. There's some, okay, maybe not all the books, but there are so, as far as the disciplines of what we do, the disciplines of the theater, the disciplines of the performing arts, there's a lot of material out there, a lot of good, reasonable, sensible, doable material for artists to learn craft and to immerse themselves so that they can actually make a informed decision as to, do I really want to try to spend my life building a career in the performing arts? There's much material out there. What I do is produce plays. This is where my energies go. Producing, directing, and on occasion, performing in a work that has something for a performing artist like myself. And the social consciousness is paramount, Ron. You know, how we are affected as a people by what goes on around us is all important, and what many of the stories are constructed from. Many of the plays are constructed from. Our playwrights lab, we have a playwrights lab that meets 3 times a year, 10 sessions per meeting. And we have about a dozen playwrights that's what they're doing, developing with a dramaturg the nuts and bolts of writing for the theater. You know, there are really no rules about that. The only rule is one, does it work?
Yeah.
Is the story told? Is it theater? Is it entertaining? Does it have a social consciousness? Those are most of the points that we address. Yeah.
Yes. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. I need to sit you down sometime and get an hour over here, an hour over here. Ben, as always, it's a great time talking to you. Folks, please go and see this marvelous play. They call it Last Night at McKell once again.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Once again.
We open April 12th.
Okay.
Open April 12th. Please come.
Please give my best to a dear friend and your publicist, Philip Sokoloff.
Will do.
And
thanks, Ron. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too, guy. Take care of yourself.
Bye-bye.
This is the Actor's Choice. I'm your host, Ron Brewington. Roll it, Tony.
Rolling.
This is Stanley. Relax.
2 women drawn together as friends.
Hi.
A family woman considering a career.
She is terrific.
A career woman thinking about a family, yet they share something in common.
I didn't know you when I met him. You gotta believe me.
It's all right, as long as you don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest starts getting more and more jobs. You know, you just saw us do one of her things. It was called Beatnik Girl. That's an interesting name. Interesting name. Without any questions, show her doing better. Please welcome Leda Siskind.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, Leda. Welcome to the Actor's Choice. Where were you born in, my dear? I always ask that question.
Pardon me?
Where were you born?
Where was I born? I am LA bred.
LA bred, okay. Do you go to show? Do you see a lot of plays? You go to plays?
I do. I see a lot of plays, and I'm part of a playwrights workshop here in LA, Fierce Backbone, and yeah, I go to a lot of plays, and I'm also part of Theater 40.
Hey, because the gentleman before you, he came on, because you might have heard him say it, but that's a bone that I have with a lot of people in this industry. They do film, they do TV, but they won't get up there on that stage. Nope. They just don't do it. Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, you tell me about that when you went, so what was it like growing up in the place where you were born? What was that like?
I had a kind of an interesting childhood. I grew up in East LA and then moved to West LA. This was late 60s, early 70s, my high school.
Yes.
Hamilton High was one of the first to be really pretty 50-50 integrated. We started, it's now a fine arts high school, and proud to say I was in the first musical there that they ever did. And yeah, so all of that happened before I went off to New York to be an actor.
Yeah. I'm from New York. Keep on talking. I like that.
Oh,
Born and raised in
yeah.
New York City.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I always say I'm from LA, but I'm not of LA. Yeah, I did Broadway. I did off Broadway. I did some radio, and then I came back here with my husband and I did some TV and film stuff, but it was mostly stage, a lot of stage.
Got you. That's great. That's beautiful. That is very
So,
beautiful.
yeah.
So where'd you go to school at?
I went to Cal Arts,
Okay.
first original graduating class, 73, and then I went to UC Riverside, got a MFA.
Okay.
And then I did the rest of the education in New York under Stella Adler. So
Leda, you look like a fun person.
hope so.
You really, really do, because you go to school, you get an education, and you go up, come back down, go up, come back down. And you just keep on doing it. You have to be consistent. I see a lot of people who they want to be a star. And one time I asked the guy, I said, hey, what's a star? He said, man, a star is rat spelled backwards. I went, okay, I didn't know that.
Ooh,
I
okay.
didn't know that. But he said he was trying to tell me that in the business that you're in right now, how many, when you're doing your thing out there, you got to do this, you got to that, you got to, when they go to an award show, and the winner is, and it cracks me up when they do that. You got to stand there, and you didn't get it, you got to still keep smiling.
Well,
Yeah.
It's interesting. The one Broadway show that I did with Derek Jacobi, the British actor,
Yes.
I once asked him why he kept his cool, why he was so sweet and friendly. Even, he was the star of the show. And he said, I'll never forget this. He said, well, in Britain, we're taught that the star is actually the play.
That sounds a lot better than Rats. It sure does.
Yes. Yeah. The star up there is actually the play.
Interesting.
You're just serving the play.
Right. Especially when it's Shakespeare.
Or anything, I hope. So.
Yeah. Do you do a little Shakespeare yourself?
No, these days I'm writing plays, so no.
Now that's good. Now that is good. That's one of the things question I had. Let me see. First, okay, here we go. I understand that you are a professional actress for many, many years, Broadway and off Broadway, and in Los Angeles before you turned to playing playwriting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm very lucky. I've had several productions up, and Beatnik Girl is my latest. So very proud of that.
Wow. Wow. What is her name?
I'm sorry? Beatnik Girl?
Yeah,
Beatnik Girl, the character's name is Edie Gordon. I just named her after my mother, and people have thought that it's about my mother. It's not. I just took her name because I thought it was a cool name, Edie Gordon, very much of the time. And she's in the play's 18 scenes, and she's in every scene. It's all about her. It's about her journey from young, fresh, trying to be a beat poet on the Lower East Side to discovering exactly who she is and where she needs to go. So it's a young woman's journey. This has nothing to do with my daughter. The character is named after my mother. I just took her name. But the Beatnik Girl is actually this character is a combination of 4 actual women during the Beat era. So everything that you see on stage actually happened to somebody. So I just took bits and parts of the research that I did and put them into one character. But the women trying to be serious artists and beat poets at the time faced a lot of barriers in the 50s. So,
Yes.
and a lot of people don't know about this era. You know, they have gotten a lot of questions like, "Oh, this is like sort of hippies." And no, this is before hippies. This gave way to the ban the bomb gave way to the Vietnam protests that happened a lot later. So, yeah. So while there was Kerouac and Miles Davis and Jackson Pollock and all those hip cats, there were also some wonderful beat women artists, Diane De Palma, Joyce Johnson, Hetty Jones, Elise Cowan. So this is their story.
Let's see. Let's go to number 33, if you would, Tony. Now there's a good piece right there. What does that show?
Yeah, that is the very first scene where Edie has just moved into this apartment. It's very, very, very bare, and there's a big, huge crack in the wall. And her neighbor Nadine says, "I know what'll cover that crack," and she brings in her anti-nuclear proliferation poster. Yeah, that's the very first scene.
Interesting. Okay, whenever she goes places, does she wear a certain outfit that she has got on?
Well, you know, the whole stereotypic beatnik look, especially the black tights and all that. I even have, there's actually a little speech later in the play about, you know, why do those beatnik girls wear all those black tights? It was kind of a protest. They're not going to wear nylon stockings, you know, and nylon stockings were expensive and they rip. And at that point, you had to wear a garter belt. And these women were like, no, I'm not going to subjugate myself to that. And tights were cheap. So that whole look, that kind of beat look, just like the hippie look, was kind of curated, if you will, during that time.
Okay, curated. Okay, I understand. I have a states in here. It says, check out the Leda Siskind's story. You might like it. Where did I get that one from?
I have no idea.
Are you writing a book?
No. No.
Okay. Moving on down. Okay. Okay, that's good. Let's see. I see that your plays have been produced. That's good. Yeah, like those LA theaters.
Yeah, I've been very lucky. I had there's a play of mine called Surveillance, which is about, guess what? Surveillance. And that was produced at Theater 40. There are three, that's a play that has actually three short plays in it. One is called the Havana Syndrome, about you know, who's been spying on our embassy in Havana. Another short play in that collection has I don't call her Siri, but it's basically Siri spying on you, because she's totally capable of doing that. So that's Surveillance.
Yeah.
And then I had another play called All My Distances Are Far, based on my work with teenagers. Takes place in a high school, and about teenagers' journey through the last year of high school and everything that they face. So yes, I've been very lucky. I've also had some 10-minute plays produced, basically every February. We just did that one. So, and I've had a play published in the Best Plays of 2023, the 10-minute collection from Smith and Krause. So yeah, it's been a wonderful ride being a playwright.
You're
I enjoy it.
all the way, and you're having a good time. All the way.
And I'm having a good time. And this particular production of Beatnik Girl, I have to say, under the direction of Anne Hearn, we have an excellent cast. Very, very lucky. The cast is spot on. The staging is wonderful. We have a live saxophonist on stage who's blowing out jazz for every performance. So between the saxophonist and the jazz and the wonderful acting, it's worth a visit to go see Beatnik Girl.
Wow. Like I said, you look like a fun person. You look like a fun person. My goodness. Unfortunately, we are out of luck. Time flies when you're having fun.
Happens. But we have 2 more weeks, and I really encourage people to show up at Theater 40 in Beverly Hills. You can get tickets right there, and come see Beatnik Girl. It's a cool trip.
Got you. Leda, I hope that you enjoyed yourself and had a good time. So now you are a beach knit girl. Okay.
Beatnik Girl.
Right. Please give me my best and your best to your publicist, my dear friend, Philip Sokolov. Like that guy.
Will do.
Did you know that he's also an actor?
Yes, very well aware.
Oh gosh. When I tell people that, they look at me like he's an actor, I say, yes, and a damn good one at that.
Yep.
Yeah. So we have a lot in common. Come back and see us some more, please.
Would love to. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen. Wow. Okay. Let's see who's next. Oh, there's the Beatnik Girl. Let's go for it. Go. That's okay. We got a young lady coming in. I got this one. I got this lady. I got the book in my hand. Roll it, Tony.
Circuit. I am not Lady Gaga's mother. I am also not Barbara Streisand's daughter. And I am definitely not Christine Baranski's sister. What I am, exactly, is a Scorpio type A Jew, originally.
There's that fine lady standing there. Who is that?
Well, good morning to you, Ron. I'm so happy to be here.
The same thing. I feel the same way. When I know that was that audio, that video, that this show, I was looking for something like that, and how you take it in and out. Okay, I got some questions I want to get to, but I also want to get some questions that you would like to get. So let's go on with yours first. Let's get to it now. What made you decide to write and perform the show?
It was a long story that was waiting to be told. And I condensed it into an hour and 10 minutes, more or less, but there's a lot more there. I just wanted to pass on a message to women and men that you can have a beautiful life regardless of what happens to you.
Gotcha. How has the show changed since it was performed last year?
I've edited, I've taken out material that no longer seems relevant, and I've added more material that came from uncovered memories that sprouted to the surface, and also incidences that have happened between then and now that gave me some epiphanies about where the story has gone and how I've grown in the process.
Got you. Does it feel different?
Yes, it does feel different because I feel different. You know, every passage in your life feels different. And if you do the work and you continue to grow and learn from your mistakes and from your past, then every day feels different. Your story becomes different. It takes on a different aura. It takes on a different feeling. I no longer have bitterness or anger. There's just forgiveness and love and the desire to move on and have a happy life.
Good. Because I got a few of them that I've gone and said, what are your favorite phones with today?
My favorite what? I beg your pardon?
Says, what are your future phones with it?
Oh, plans?
Oh, plan, okay.
My future plans. Well, I would like to perform it in other states. I'd like it to take it to New York. Ideally, at some point, not this year, I want to take it to Edinburgh in Scotland, to Canada, I just think that there's a message there, especially for women in middle-aged who feel like, okay, I've had my marriage, I've had my kids, I may not look like I'm 25 anymore, but do I still have worth? Absolutely, you do. As a matter of fact, you have more worth because you've lived longer and you have more wisdom. The things we think we know when we're in our 20s are vastly different than what we learn along the journey.
Got you. I know what you're talking about. I mean,
Listen, never let an old person get inside your head. That's the worst thing to do. I tell myself every day, I'm getting younger. I'm getting younger.
Yeah,
I'm getting younger. I say it like a mantra until I believe it.
Yes, ma'am. Any other creative endeavors?
Yeah, well, I love comedy. I'm a stand-up comic. I produce my own show, Raw and Organic Comedy. I have one at the end of this month in Ventura. And I am going to be performing at the end of this month in La Jolla at the Comedy Store. I'm performing tomorrow at the State Social House. I'm always looking to hold a microphone and tell jokes. Telling jokes makes me very happy. And it's a gift to the audience because God knows we all could use some laughter these days.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And I love to write. I write every single day. I write new bits almost every day. I write short stories. I journal. It's important to get those thoughts out on paper.
There's a lot of other people out there who have gone through what you've gone through. And then when they see or hear this, be it the man, be it the woman, whatever the case may be, I know we have a class that I used to teach over at Santa Monica College, and we would always talk about, I've been married 3 times, and we would talk about different things. And one of the things we talked about, instead of going from 1, 2, 3, we would go 3, 2, 1. These are the 3 most biggest problems that you may have. And they say, number 3, money. Number 2, sex. Number 1, they don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
They don't.
Well, communication is key in a relationship. And if one person is doing all the talking and the other person isn't, or if you're not listening to each other, or if one person is filled with shame and doesn't want to talk about what's really going on under the surface, you might think you're arguing about a certain subject, but it might be about something completely different. And you're not being honest with your partner or yourself.
Yeah. So I wonder why I've been married 3 times.
Well, you're a perfectionist, right? You're a perfectionist. You wanted to make it work.
Yes, I sure did. I was in the Navy and was away for a little bit, but that didn't stop me when I came home. Just one of the things. What's the biggest lesson from this project?
Oh my God. There were a few, and I'll just narrow it down in no particular order. Always have something to look forward to, always have a project, always keep going. A very dear friend of mine, whose birthday it is today, shout out to my friend Eva. She texted me and she said, "Congratulations on your show. What now?" And that was the perfect question. In other words, don't sit on your laurels after you've done something. Okay, it's a brand new day. What do you want to do next? So there's so much inside of us, but talents have to be developed. They shouldn't just sit there laying eggs, waiting for somebody to notice that you've hatched. You have to create your projects. I used to think that when I got into this, that, wouldn't it be wonderful if somebody realized how funny I was, how talented I was, how radiant I am. I'm just the gal they were waiting for. No, that's not how it works. You want to do something, you make it happen. Don't wait for for something to fall on top of your head. You have to make the projects happen. So that's what I do. And I am blessed to know wonderful people in this community, in the acting community, the comedy community, the writing community. I'm really fortunate. And I feel like whatever your higher power is, I always say God, I feel like God brought me to the people I was supposed to meet at this stage of life. And so it's a community. Doing this kind of project, especially a solo show, it's a lot of work. Yeah. And I've had many people help me and guide me along the way, and I'm eternally grateful to them.
Gotcha. I brought a list for you.
Okay.
List out. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, let's take a look at some real stuff, as we say. Here we go. Finds joy. Let me see what that is. Number one, finds joy in divorce court while Dan Ruth finds life behind bars and Barbara Burnell sings her way through a solid cut hope.
Oh, well, those are three different shows
Right.
that were happening over the weekend. Three different people at the Whitefire Theater.
Yes.
And so what is your question exactly?
My question? I'm sorry.
What's your question exactly? Is it about, you wanted to ask me something about divorce court?
Yes.
Well, as soon as I signed the divorce papers, it wasn't death. It was a new beginning.
Got you.
It was a new beginning. Just like I feel, that when we cross over, we may lose our physical bodies, but it's a new beginning. It's the same thing in life. Something ends and something begins. It's not the end of your life. We buy into this idea that if a marriage ends, it's a failure. It's not. Yeah. It doesn't mean, I say this in my show, it doesn't mean that it wasn't real love.
Right.
It was real love. But it reached its expiration date, and it's okay to move on and not feel like you have to win at marriage.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Another one, in hold of what happens when you've had a hard day.
What do I do when I've had a hard day?
Yeah. I
have a whole treasure chest of things that I do. I journal. I'm a runner. I love yoga.
Uh-huh.
I meditate. All of this stuff is free and it's accessible. And, thank God I've never had an addiction to drugs or alcohol, but I have been addicted to work.
Yes.
As I say in my show, that's a socially acceptable addiction, and nobody calls you on it because society rewards hard workers. So that has always been my addiction. And I need to find ways to shut off when I need to. And so I go to physical, creative, and spiritual practices.
Tony, would you be so kind as to show number 44? There it is. There it is. Ooh. Seen that someplace before. That is a nice piece of work.
Thank you.
When people see it for the first time, what do they say to you?
They say, and I say this with complete humility and appreciation. They say that they were moved by the show. They say that they laughed and cried because there's both in it. I'm very open about my childhood and a lot of the trauma I went through, having immigrant parents. And may both of my parents rest in peace. Yes. But it was not a picnic. And sometimes people look at this and we tend as humans, our detriment to judge one another based on appearance.
Yes.
My father used to say, scratch the surface. You don't know what people are going through. So at the age of 10, I learned not to envy anybody. And I don't envy because you don't know. It could look like this perfect life on the outside and people could be suffering on the inside.
Right. A bullet over fives.
A bullet over fives? I don't know what that is.
Okay, I sort of, I've looked in a document. Okay, move on to the next one. So I do half.
I don't know what that is.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I spoiled him rotten.
I spoiled him rotten. Well, that could be applied to my ex. I did spoil him rotten. And, when you are always taking care of somebody, and I'm a caretaker by nature. I do like to care for my loved ones and my friends. But you forget to care for yourself. And so everything I did for him, he just thought it was business as usual. You know, I was not having the life of Riley. I was working like an animal, you know, seeing customers all day and then coming home and making home cooked meals and doing laundry and helping kids with homework. And I didn't question it. I just was on autopilot and getting up every day and doing it all over again. And I made it look easy, but it was anything but. And I never questioned my own happiness. I numbed myself with busyness. And so he took me for granted. And I have to take some ownership because I did too much. I did more for him than I did for myself.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Two more. God's work.
God's work. I don't remember in what context that was in. Well, I could just talk about God's work in general. I mean, God's work is always behind the scenes.
Amen.
He's always sending us messages, and we can choose to listen or to ignore. And I finally chose to listen because, contrary to what some people believe, I don't believe that man is born to suffer. I believe that we choose to suffer because we don't think that we deserve joy or happiness. And I'm not talking about people who don't have agency over their lives. I'm not trying to be flippant and say, yeah, I mean, there's some people who have horrible lives. They're either ill or they're starving or they live in war zones. I'm not referring to that. I'm talking to human beings who have freedom and choose to live in their self-imposed prison.
Yes.
I think it was it Rumi who said, you know, the door is open, or I'm butchering what he said, but you know, we can walk out of our prison. We often choose to stay in one.
Yeah. Yeah. And the last one, Tao comedy study.
Oh, Tao. Yes. I used to study at Tao Comedy in Koreatown, and I have been studying in recent years with Mary Kennedy at the Biz Studio. She's one of my mentors. I've also studied with Terry Silverman, and I also do writing in the morning with Anne Randolph, who lives in Santa Fe. So I have several people that I've worked with, and they've all been wonderful and dear to me. And I'm very grateful to everybody along the journey.
Ruth, I have this one. This is one I wrote. You are a beautiful lady. I would think that you would have hundreds of guys.
Oh, you're so sweet. Oh, I love you forever. You know, I don't. Part of it has been by choice. I spent half of my life with a partner, and dating LA in midlife is kind of weird. It's kind of weird, Ron. First of all, a lot of people don't talk to each other here.
Right.
And I'm like a friendly puppy. You know, you look at me and my tail starts wagging. But a lot of people are afraid, like a stranger might bite them, you know? And I don't approach the world that way. I'm the person that will talk to you online if you're on a 10-minute line in Starbucks. I'm that person. So, and I've gotten worse as I've gotten older. But I've dated sporadically. You know, I've had a couple of, I don't want to say meaningless relationships, but light relationships, very brief relationships since my divorce. But there's nobody that I felt a soul connection to. And I really wasn't ready for it. I believe I'm ready now, but I don't believe in forcing destiny. If the right man comes along, I'm open. But I don't, it's not going to affect my happiness quotient. I'm a complete person, whereas when I was younger, I didn't feel complete without a partnership. Now I do.
Excellent. Ruth, it's been a blessing for us to see you again.
Thank you, Ron.
Madam, please, do you come back again, please? And best of luck. Yes, best of luck. And as I always like to say, break a leg.
Thank you, Ron. Have a
Great
beautiful
LA.
day. Thank you for your time. I'm really grateful.
Okay, we'll be looking out for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, my good friend, Philip Sokolov, you know that guy?
I sure do. He was at my show on Saturday night. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he certainly is. He certainly is. Yes, quite a guy. Yep. He told me to say hi to you.
Well, hi back.
See you now. God bless you.
Take care. God bless.
Thank you.
Bye.
Much thanks to all our guests today, actor, producer, writer Ben Guillory, actress Leda Siskind, and actor, comedian Ruth Brant. I like the way she says that. The actor charge is a presentation of B&B Productions. Ron Brewington is the president. Special thanks go out to our ever-growing audience. I'm Ron Brewington. We'll see each other some other time.